So this week is CEDIA, and unfortunately, I'm not there. This is the first year in 4 years that I'm not at CEDIA, but there's still a lot of exciting news and updates that I can share with you guys. And in this video, I want to talk about Magnetar because Magnetar just announced 2 new premium 4K Ultra HD / media players this week on Tuesday, I believe it was. And I talked about this a little bit in the Dolby Vision 2 video, but I wanted to make a video specifically and hone in on the 4K Blu-ray players because there's some exciting potential. And I also want to talk about some of the features that hopefully we'll see in the future, maybe some other things that maybe will come either to the players or to Magnetar. So let's get right into the update. So Magnetar has 2 players, and they've really kind of taken over the cream of the crop players. They're basically kind of like updated Oppos, but previously we had the UDP 800 and the UDP 900. Now I reviewed the 800 on my channel, but for this year they have the UDP 800 Mark II and the UDP 900 Mark II. So this is directly from Magnetar. The UDP 900 Mark II and UDP 800 Mark II are purpose-built to support virtually every physical and digital format under one roof: 4K, Ultra HD, Blu-ray, SACD, stored and networked media with reference-level video processing and elite audio performance. Series-wide enhancements include a new refresh to the proprietary Magnetar video processing engine, optimizing color reproduction, contrast, brightness, and noise reduction with improved upscaling, setting a new bar in ultra premium picture quality across all supported media formats, as well as upgraded audio architecture across both models to ensure cleaner signal delivery, reduced distortion, and more accurate reproduction of high resolution audio. Okay, that's a mouthful, but sounds like we're getting updated technology with the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray SACD. There's probably not a whole lot of updates there, as far as 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. I'm mainly interested in this as a 4K player and like file playback. So it talks about reference level video processing, so there's probably an update there. Should have a more smoother experience. Elite audio performance, so probably updated DACs and stuff like that. So these should be the cream of the crop players. Let's focus in on the UDP 800. So the UDP 800 Mark II refines Magnetar's most accessible model with upgrades tailored to deliver elevated performance for cinephiles and enthusiasts, featuring a newly designed 2.0 audio offering incorporating 7 OPA 1602 op amps for low noise, high precision audio, precision HDMI jitter correction, and enhanced EMI shielding. The player ensures cleaner, more accurate sound. An upgraded sound dampened chassis suppresses vibration for quieter operation, while improved disc mechanics and copper wiring upgrades bring stability and durability. Networking refinements such as support for Room-Ready certification elevate the player functionality, making the UDP 800 Mark II the ideal solution for those seeking reference-level playback performance without stepping into flagship territory. So, again, a mouthful. So obviously the UDP 800 is not their flagship. They're both flagship players as far as on the market, but this is going to be the entry-level, player. So you've got that Room-Ready certification. I'm not going to be using it that much for that. Maybe some of you guys that are, video files and audio files, you do have that option. And then as far as the UDP 900, so the UDP 900 Mark II is Magnetar's latest flagship offering, delivering reference-grade performance across all formats. At its core is a redesigned audio processing system featuring dual ESS 9038 Pro DACs, the industry's most advanced digital to analog converters, paired with TMDS retiming on the dedicated HDMI audio port to virtually eliminate jitter and preserve every sonic detail. Advanced XMOS USB audio playback supports formats up to 768 PCM, 512 DSD, ensuring flawless reproduction of high-resolution music libraries. Further refinements to the flagship model include expanded networking capabilities and refinements, as well as support for Room-Ready certification, ensuring it meets both current and future demands of high-end installations. This commitment to excellence was recently recognized by the ISA Awards, with the UDP 900 Mark II named the Best Home Theater Disc Player for 2025 through 2026. So that's really all the information that I have right now. That's the press kit that was sent to me. Now they are at Cydia right now, so unfortunately I wasn't able to be there. I wasn't able to get, video of them in action, but I'm sure they're probably going to come out with more information, more detailed information once Cydia is over and you're able to buy these. And we'll talk about price here in a little bit. But what I want to talk about is, we know that these players are, discs, 4K disc capable, but one thing that I'm curious about is the file playback. Now, I reviewed the UDP 800 and I compared it to the Oppo UDP 203 that I currently have. So I have the 203 and I also have the 103 in my living room. The 203 is in my home theater. And I felt like the Oppo, even though they stopped making it for a couple years, I felt like the Oppo was still better in terms of speed and reliability, mainly on the file playback. So with the UDP 203, whenever I would go to my DLNA server, if I wanted to play a movie that's on my movie server on my computer over the network, that was very quick, very smooth. Whereas the Magnetar, there was a little bit of a lag, and I think there was, and if I remember correctly, there was a little bit of an issue of pulling up all the media. I think because I had such a big library, it kind of would crash out. And the BDP 103 Oppo used to do the same thing. They fixed that with the 203. So I'm curious about that. But one of the things I'm curious about is Dolby Vision 2 support. So I made a video yesterday on that. That video was mainly on Dolby Vision 2, but I did want to mention it here because, in that press release, Dolby said that it's basically only going to be on new Hisense TVs right now with the Dolby Vision 2. However, with these players coming out, being announced the same time, the same week as Dolby Vision 2, I highly doubt that that's a coincidence. I'm pretty sure, and I don't know this, I don't have any inside information, I'm just assuming, this is my assumption, as powerful as these new players are, I'm going to assume that at some point the UDP 800 and 900 Mark II are going to be able to support Dolby Vision 2. Now, I don't know if it's going to be available right out of the gate, or if it's going to be something where hey, down the road, we're going to update the players so that they can support that. But right now, it sounds like Dolby Vision 2 is only going to be available on Hisense. But for those of us that, don't want to rely on TV apps and you want a dedicated player, I'm going to speculate that these players are going to support that. But again, you still have to have a display that supports that, and then everything else in your chain, if you've got a receiver or a processor in between there, it's going to have to support that as well. So we'll see when or if Dolby Vision 2 comes out in support with receivers and processors. Now, something else that I would like to see from Magnetar, and I know that they're marketing these Blu-ray players as a Blu-ray player / media player, but I've found that Blu-ray players that also tout themselves as media players, usually one or the other kind of suffers a little bit just because it has to try to do so much. Now again, I don't have these new Mark II players. They could be amazing in that area, and I am supposed to get one for review so I can let you guys know then. But what I would like to see is, I would like to see a standalone, just a media player from Magnetar, kind of like Zudu and Arvolution. I think what they're doing with the 4K players are amazing. They're built like a tank. They're super premium. But I would like to see that media player get expanded to a standalone, just a standalone Magnetar media player. No disc support. Just, have some slots for hard drives, maybe one or two, and then you can either load all your movies onto hard drive or you can just play it over the network. The reason I say that is because I highly doubt that these new players are going to have a dedicated poster wall like Zudu or Arvolution. Usually these Blu-ray players are just file playback over DLNA, and there's no album art, or there's no support for a poster wall. You don't get all the metadata and the little posters, movie posters. Again, I don't know with these new ones. I want to say that I read somewhere that these new players will have like their own kind of like a poster wall. I don't remember for sure, but again, once I get it in, or once I talk to the people at Magnetar, maybe they can clarify that for me. But that's something that I would like to see. I'm always pro disc, even though I mainly use Kaleidoscape now. I still have my Plex server, which I haven't used probably in over a year, but then I have Zudu as well. So I want discs to stay around. Definitely don't want those to go away. I think that's important for home theater and for the movie industry. But I would like to see some other competition, because what Zudu is doing with Arvolution is great. But I think if the people at Magnetar put their heads together, they can create a really, really nice premium, 4K media player that will rival Zudu and Magnetar. And then finally, what I would like to see is a app for app control on these new players. Now, again, I don't know if that is going to be a thing. The information's been very limited, so they very well could have an app, but I would like to see an app kind of like what Oppo does. Now, even though they don't make Oppo anymore, you still can access the app. Now, the Oppo 203 and 205 players, they have a dedicated app that they separated, once they came out with those players. That one doesn't work on my phone anymore for some reason, but it works on my iPad. And I have it here on my iPad. So on my iPad, this is the Oppo UDP 203. You have your media control here. So, you've got your music tab, your movies tab, and your photos tab. So I really like what Oppo did with this app. And if I go to movies, I've got BDMV, I've got on this mobile device. If I go to, USB storage, if I don't have any USB storage connected to it right now, but if I go to network sharing, you'll see I have my Plex media server. And if I click on that, I've got video, music, photos. We'll focus on video right now. And then you can see I have all my folders on the network that I can pull up, and you see how quick it is. So let's say if I wanted to go into, HD and Ultra HD, I have all my movies here, so I can sort by continue watching, collection, edition, so unwatched. And then if I want to go to all, so I'll click on that. And then you'll see I have all of my movies that I can see here. And you do actually get the little album art. So this is in the app. So that's pretty cool. So, I've got all my movies here. You see how quickly it loads. And then if I wanted to, I could click on any one of these movies and it would automatically start playing on my Oppo UDP 203. And kind of like the same thing on the Oppo BDP 103. So this is on my iPhone. And yeah, I have the app here. I've got the dedicated Netflix and Vudu app. And then I've got my, it basically mimics the remote, the Oppo remote on this app. So I've got control here. I've got a second page where I can do controls, play, stop, pause, previous, rewind, forward, next. And then I've got my other buttons here, audio, subtitle, zoom, etc. If I want to click on there, I can do touch control. I can switch between a player if I had another player. But this is something that's very intuitive. Now, I use a universal remote, so this is kind of moot. I don't ever use these apps, but I do like to have the functionality. If for some reason my remote goes down or I can't find my remote, I can just open up the app and I can say, okay, let me find the movie I want, click the movie, and it'll start playing. I don't know if this is going to be a feature with the Magnetar players. I would hope so, especially at the price point, because these are pretty expensive. Again, we'll get to that at the end, but I would like to see that, or something like Zudu. So if I go over to my Zudu controller, my UHD 8000, you can see I've got the actual poster wall that looks exactly the same like it does if I was actually in my home theater using the Zudu. Now, the app itself, I think the app is great for Zudu. There is sometimes a little bit of a lag, like you see sometimes the posters don't come up right away. If I click on it, they should come up. But as far as functionality, I love the Zudu app. I think this is one of the best apps that are out there for any controller as far as, controlling your device over the network. So that's another thing that I would like to see. I would like to see a dedicated remote app as well as a poster wall app for these Magnetar players. Okay, so finally, let's talk about price. So the Magnetar UDP 900 Mark II and UDP 800 Mark II are slated to begin shipping in Q4 2025 and will be available through Magnetar's authorized dealer and its distributor network. MSRP for the UDP 900 Mark II is $32.99 and MSRP for the UDP 800 Mark II is $17.99. So these players are not cheap, especially the UDP 900 Mark II. That's very expensive for a Blu-ray player. I'm not sure how they came to these prices on these players, but one thing, a positive thing is I'm assuming the 800 and the 900, the Mark I's, if they're going to start calling them that, I'm assuming hopefully those prices go down. But $3,300 for a Blu-ray player, that's definitely not cheap. So I hope they crammed everything that they could into this, with it still working, because sometimes that's an issue when companies try to cram so much technology and usually something suffers. But for that price point, I want everything. I want apps, I want app control, I want a poster wall on the app. Like, these things need to be decked out. And then $17.99 for the UDP 800. I think that's still a little aggressive, but when the UDP 203 Oppo came out, that thing was what I think I paid $500, maybe $600 for it. So again, the user interfaces on these look exactly like Oppo. So clearly the same people who worked on Oppo players are working on this. Price though it's pretty aggressive. But I'm excited to get one in on the channel. Don't know which one I'm going to get yet. I'm going to try to get the 900 Mark II and, make some content with it, see how it stacks up. I'm going to put it up against my Oppo 203 because I still think, for me, that's still the cream of the crop. That's still the flagship player. I haven't seen anything else that compares to it that can still beat it at, however many, 3, 4, or 5 years that they stopped making it. But yeah, so Magnetar, UDP 800 Mark II, UDP 900 Mark II, new players coming in Q4. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys are planning on checking these out, if you're going to pick these up, I want to know. And I will see you in the next video.